What's up, photo family? Hope everybody's doing well. Just wanted to come at you today on a Saturday and touch base about a instant film camera that is in my lineup, which is my Fuji Instax SQ6. So this camera finds itself kind of in the middle ground of my Fuji instant film camera lineup. So I've got the big wide 300 Gorilla, right? So there's the SQ6 compared to the Fuji Instax wide 300, right? SQ6 there. And then I've got my cute little Mini 90 here, which I also have, which is kind of the smaller version of this Instax camera lineup here. But the one that we're gonna get into and talk about today is my SQ6. So box, narrow camera, right? The camera itself is a very basic animal, shooting instant film in a square format, right, relative to the other film formats. So let's just show those real quick and kind of get that out of the way. So our SQ6 is kind of like a square format, right? Then we've got our wide 300, which is more rectangular, much larger image size, you can see here, right? And then we've got our mini film, which is super cute. I love this stuff so much. So we can see the overall size comparison. So the SQ6 is shooting this square format here. And so I do like the format, but the thing to be thinking about is that this is not as large as a Polaroid shot coming out of a 600 speed camera, you know, shooting that 600 color, or that SX70. This is just not as big as that, which was a misconception that I had when this camera was first kind of coming out and I was getting ready to purchase it. I was like, yep, here goes Fuji. They're making a format that's going to equate to that same format coming out of Polaroid's camp, but it is not that thing. It's a bit smaller, but it still offers a really nice film format. And I'm into this particular frame, and I do like this camera because it's shooting something kind of, again, in between that wide 300 and that mini film. So camera itself is very basic. And again, I mentioned it's kind of got a low profile. We've got strap lugs on either side. We've got a viewfinder kind of shoved into the upper right-hand corner of the camera itself. It's not my favorite viewfinder. It's pretty small. It's not unusable, but it's not like a great feature of the camera itself, I'll be honest. Front of the camera, we have our lens assembly, we have our flash, we have the front of the viewfinder, we have our shutter actuation button. There is only one. It is located here. We have our lens assembly. When we turn the camera on switch on the top deck, film protrudes from here once you've shot it. So when we turn this on, we can see that our lens extends on our camera. Some lights come on in the back of the camera. And when we turn the camera off, then our lens retracts, right? So also on the front of the camera, when we extend our lens, and it's always there though, is our selfie mirror and our kind of like metering, our light meter, right, on the interior of the lens assembly there. So on the rear of the camera, we have on the left-hand side 3 buttons. Mode button, which cycles us through our many modes on the back of the camera. We have a timer button, good job, love a timer. And we have a button that we can force our flash off with, so also great job. Takes 2 CR2 batteries. Film bay is on the back of the camera. That door hinges open at the bottom and you load in your film packs. You're getting 10 exposures per pack, which is nice. We love that. On the bottom of the camera is a tripod portal there, so we can mount the camera onto a tripod. So that's kind of the basic layout of the camera. And again, it's a really basic layout. Let's talk about those modes. So on the back of the camera, again, we can see at the top of the camera itself, there's a variety of modes. Auto mode, we've got a selfie mode. And when we cycle through those modes via the mode button on the back, we can see that the lens adjusts relative to what those modes are. So again, selfie mode, we've got a macro mode, got a landscape mode, double exposure mode, which is super fun for getting creative if that's your jam. And I would encourage everybody to get into that jam. Double exposures are super fun. We have a lighter button, which is going to allow our camera to create a brighter exposure. And we have a D button for darker, which is going to allow our camera to take a more underexposed image, depending on what it is that we're managing out in front of our camera. And again, with the idea that we can force the flash off, sometimes we're using that lighter mode in darker environments to get the kind of exposure that we're looking for, right? So overall, what I like about the camera is its portability, being in between those two things, but shooting a film format that's a bit bigger than the Mini, but still pretty portable as a camera. The ergonomics on this camera, I'm going to be totally honest, are not amazing. But you know, it does what it needs to do, and I don't find it coming out of my hand. But you know, it's got a single button on the front. There's not much to it. I don't really think that ergonomics are really going to be something that you're like, oh, I'm looking for a very ergonomic experience out of this camera. It's just not something that you're going to get. When I'm shooting photos, I'm getting images that on the whole are exposed very nicely. I feel like it works great for portraits. I feel like it works great for landscape stuff. Again, just the amount of modes that we have with the camera too really makes it just a fun, creative experience. And again, we're getting kind of somewhere in between those two other formats as far as that goes. So, and the other thing about an SQ6 is that it's not like those Evo series cameras, which again, I can't speak to in depth because I've never shot on them, but my understanding is that they're cameras and they're also printers that have the ability to print digital files on the instant film format. This is alchemy to me. I'm not super sure how this happens, but I'm sure it makes sense, and I'm going to look into all of that. But what I know about this camera is it's a true film experience. Your lens sees what's out in front of it. It exposes the film plane, which is your instant film, and then that film is pushed out and then processes over time, and you get a film photograph that's pretty much one of a kind and amazing in that way, and I love that a lot about it. So for me, instant film is such a huge part of my photographic creative kind of journey and day by day. Oftentimes when I'm feeling very not motivated or creatively in a rut, instant film instantly brings me out of that rut. Shooting this medium is such magic, and I love it so much. So I hope everybody out there has an opportunity to shoot some instant film. Heck, this weekend, go out and shoot some instant film. If you have an instant camera, you'll find that it's so rewarding and so amazing. So hope this helps, this little teardown on this Fuji SQ6 square format instant film camera from Fuji. Shooting that Instax film. The film is not super cheap, but cheap schmeep. It's so much fun to shoot. Hope everybody's doing amazing. I'll catch up with everybody soon. Peace out.